Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for joining me today. As always, it's lovely to have your company. I do feel honoured that I get this chance to come and craft along with you, to pop into your house with you, your office, your lounge, dare I say bedroom, whichever room you're watching or listening. I do feel it a great honour, so thank you. Today, I'm almost doing the second part of yesterday. If you joined me, I'd treated myself to a new stamp. I hadn't found this one. I like to keep going on the Lavinia website and looking to see what Tracy sneaks on. Now, this had passed me by, so I had to treat myself to it. And yesterday we did quite a clean and simple a card using stencils. If you missed it, by all means pop back and look at yesterday's. So today I thought I'd use it in a different way. It's nice to see one stamp but used in a couple of different ways. I thought we'd have a different take on it. And what I thought we'd use is Brusho powders. Here we are, a couple of pots of Brusho powder. Now, the one thing I do find at my workshops, and I know there's a few ladies now and I can just picture you shuddering, Brusho powders seem to be one of those things that they're a bit like Marmite. Some people love them, some people hate them. And one of the reasons I keep using them is because I do think if there's a product that you've bought but you don't use, you almost need to use it a bit more if possible. And sometimes it's just practice. It's just being able to fall in love with a product. I was the same with Billy Brayer. I had years of being scared of the Brayer, not using the Brayer. And I decided one day to name him and get over it. And I practiced and practiced. And you know what? I'm not perfect at it, but I've come up with ways of getting round so that I can add colour, I can add ink. And he's my best mate now, although he does stay in his box on my shelf. I let him come out every so often to have a play. But, joking apart, in all seriousness, I do think if we've spent our hard-earned cash on products, it's nice to be able to use them. So I thought I'd introduce a few Brushos today. And this, honestly, is a very simple design. And I'm hoping it'll just inspire you to get your Brushos out and have a play. Maybe just get them out now and follow along with me. Now, because we're going to add water, I would recommend using a card that takes water. Now, the Multifairies card is very good at this. I'm actually using the watercolour card today just because I find it's even better for me. I just prefer the watercolour card. And what I'm actually going to do is we're going to start off by creating an ATC, and then we're going to mount it on some backing card to show you how you can either take the ATC and keep it as an ATC. I know we've got a lot of active people that swap ATCs, artist trading cards, which is what they were devised for many, many moons ago. But I want to show you that sometimes just by using up a small piece of card, you can create a topper and then turn it into a lovely card. Now, an ATC is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Now, it's a great way of using your scraps up. But also, if you're feeling a bit fed up, it's a lovely way of just creating a little piece of art. And before you know it, your mojo starts going, you create a background and you've made a card. This is a 6x6 square card blank. So my other topper here is a 5.5 inch piece of the watercolour card. And what I'm going to do, as always, is just add my black line around the edge. Now, I've already done it on the ATC because I thought you don't want to spend forever. You see me do this every time. And I'm just doing it now, because I want to do it just before I do any stamping, just in case it was to whiz across the card, which sometimes happens if you don't press hard enough. And the other thing is, when you add water, the card temporarily warps a little. So I just wanted to do that before. Now we'll get rid of that and we'll have a cleaner piece. And what we'll do first, we'll work on our ATC. So again, this we could literally be making as an artist trading card to swap with a friend. And as I say, this stamp is just perfect. So I'm just going to ink up with the black, the Nocturne. And even on this size, I'm afraid I have to stamp. Now, I don't want it directly in the middle, just because for me, I have this thing about things being in the middle. I like to just have it offset slightly. Now with this, I was thinking you could do a set of 4 ATCs, one for each season. You could stamp your beautiful dandelions, and then you could alter, couldn't you, do spring, summer, autumn and winter. Imagine some snow just on there. I think that would be lovely. Could make a set of notelets. I mean, there's so many possibilities. There we go. Now, for me, I just wanted to ground my dandelions, and normally I would put my landscape masks, but what I thought is I'd use this lovely new stamp, and I think it's Silhouette Grass. I may have to just look that up and add it to the description. I think it's Silhouette Grass, but I'm not sure. Should have looked it up before, shouldn't I? But I was so eager to come and have a brew and have a catch up with you. But this is perfect for grounding, and I just think if we put it there. So for anybody who doesn't like to draw bits sort of the grass, or if you haven't got time to get your inks and your masks out, this is a perfect way, as I say, of just grounding. Look at that. And, you know, we've almost got a card design in itself, monochromatic. I think that's really beautiful. And what I will do is I'm just going to block that. Now, because I want to do all my stamping in one go, I'm actually going to stamp as though I'm going to make this into a card. So let me have a look. We'll put birthday wishes on this, perfect for a birthday card. But actually, I do think if you left this monochromatic, you know, it would make, I nearly said a lovely sympathy card. I know there's nothing lovely about them, and they're very hard cards to make, but I think it could make a sympathy card. And obviously we've got the beautiful, beautiful sentiment, haven't we, with love and sympathy. I think that could go on there, and you could leave this monochromatic, you know, should you have to, you know, make one of those cards. Now, again, you could leave it like that, depending on how you're feeling, how much colour you want. I just want to add this little, the mini seed head, just to add a little bit more. And I've just over-inked, I should say, so we'll just get rid of that ink there. And I'm just going to put, have I got room there? Yes, just that one there. And then to work on the diagonal, I'm going to add one here. But again, you don't have to. You could actually put that there, leave it like that. I just think it would look better with one just floating up in that corner. And it's such a good addition, this little pound stamp. I do use it a lot. As I say, these pound stamps are such good workers. So I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to stamp that just sort of off the page. You know what they're like when the wind gets and they're just floating up. There we go. So that's the stamping done. And what I'm going to do now is just with my heat tool, just because obviously the VersaFine Clair is a slower drying ink, we'll just give that a little bit of a dry, just to make sure that it is perfectly dry. Now we're going to add some ink. Now it's up to you what order you do this. I've done it both, and both work, well, equally as well. And I'm going to use my circle masks, the inner and the outer. And I'm just going to pop that there, and we're going to add, see, wrong one, take that back. We're just going to pop that one there. So we're going to add the sun first. You see, I could hear you all shouting at me saying, no, you've got the wrong one. And I'm using, I think this is Sundance. This is Sundance. And I'm always taking some off on my mat. And again, coming on the mask first, and I want it darker at the bottom. So I'm always going to start adding my ink at the bottom. Pick some ink up again at the bottom. Want it quite dark at the bottom. And then I'm lightly just going to whiz very lightly round the top and almost do circular motions. And I just want to leave a little bit of white in the middle. And that will just, again, come in at that bottom. A little bit more colour at the bottom. Will just help to create a bit of depth on that sun. And if I lift that up and just show you, can you see, hopefully, if I stand up and I can see, just by adding that depth, I mean, on its own you could add some hills, and that would be a lovely topper, wouldn't it? But we're going to put that to one side now. Just going to clean that up. We're going to get our Brusho powders out. But I want to protect this a little bit. So this is where the innie comes. And I'm going to place that over the top. Now, I'm not going to worry too much. I may get a little bit of water leaking underneath. I did on this one here, but you know what? I don't mind that. I think it almost adds to it. Almost looks like clouds going over the sun. So don't worry too much. Again, I think sometimes we worry far too much. Now, what I will do today is I want to add a little bit of sparkle. And because it may take a while for this to dry, I'm just going to, and I'm conscious, when we let things dry at home, we always say, let it dry naturally. And I will speed this up a little bit with the heat tool, but it is better letting it dry naturally. So what I'll do is I'll actually add my sparkle now, and I'm just using the silver Signo. And we'll just add all this sparkle here, and on this as well we'll just go for, so it looks like the rain, the dew, it's just caught. Lovely. And back to this. See, that's the beauty, you can always just change your mind, can't you? And as I say, I've got two colours. I've got yellow and violet, and I'm going to start with the yellow. Now, some people spritz the water first. Some people put the powder on. Really makes no difference. It's like I say to you, you experiment and see what suits you best. I'm going for the powder, and I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow round there. And then with the violet, oh, can't get my pin out. Just add a little bit top and bottom. I can always add some more. Again, remember, don't take those lids off. A pin in the top is plenty. Get plenty out. Water container. And again, I'm going to hold that down and just have a bit of a spritz. And the further away you are, obviously, the less water there'll be. Closer you are, you'll get bigger blobs of water. Now again, I've got a dye-based ink there, so it will move slightly. But again, like I say, I'm not worried. Now I've got a gap there. So I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow, a bit more water. And then what I'm going to do is come in and just hold the moon mask down. Just dry it a little. And then lift it up, she says. As I say, I've got a tiny bit, but I don't mind that. It just adds to the whole thing. Now, what I will do is we'll just wipe that up a little. And then, I know you might be saying, why didn't you do them both at the same time? Well, I want my colours to almost look as though there's continuity. So what I want to do is just look at this and work out where I want my colours in the background. So I'm thinking from this, if I have some yellow over here, a little bit of yellow there, but then purple, purple there, purple there. And then again, give this a spritz. And from distance, I don't really want it to run. And then when that's put there, I've got continuity of colour. I like that. So what I would do now is put the lids back in these. Now again, at home, you can even do the two next to each other. I'm just conscious of how much you can see. And thinking of the order that it's best for me to do this in. And I have to say, this would be lovely for batch card making. So what I'll do now, the other thing is, if you did put too much water on, you know, you can always dab it with your kitchen roll. But I'm just going to bring in my heat tool, and I'm just going to heat this a little. As I say, at home, I would let it dry naturally, because I think it gives a much better result. But obviously you don't want to stay here, well, unless we can have a brew and have a bit of a chat and maybe do a bit more crafting while we're waiting. This would be, as I say, a lovely design to batch card make. But don't automatically think that Brushos have to be, some people think that they have to be messy. They don't. As I say, I love them just for adding that extra. And also for me, because I send handcrafted cards to my family, I don't always want to use the same designs. So it's nice to use different products. Remember, your Brushos are great for painting with as well. Now always heat from the back, it'll just help flatten your card. But this watercolour card is absolutely beautiful and it goes flat very easily. So like I say, that is just going to go on there. And I think that's going to look lovely. Last thing I want to do is add a little bit more sparkle. Now, normally, like I say, you would let this dry even more. But we're going to go for this. And we're going to use some of our glitters. And I'm using the Eco Glitter Star Brights. And this one is Vintage Shimmer. So give it a good shake, because it's got, I think it's about 4 different size particles in here. So you need to shake them up. And I just take the lid off, ready. And I'm going to use my Quickie Glue pen. And I'm just going to dot in the heads here, where we want that extra glitter. Now, as I say, normally I would let this completely dry, because some of the glitter may just catch on the wet bits, but I'm hoping I've dried it enough. It won't stick to them, because it will only stick where the glue is, but it might momentarily just, but we shall see. We'll add a little bit down here, I think, as well. Some random dots. Ooh. Right, so I'll have it up here, down here. Do make sure you remember to put your piece of paper underneath, won't you, to catch. And there we go. Oh, that's lovely. What do you think? Just makes such a difference, doesn't it? As I say, that an ATC in itself, you could send that. You could do a set of ATCs, couldn't you? Different flowers. Right, so all that needs to go back in there. No way we want to waste any of that. And I find just shaking the pot, because sometimes there seems to be more glitter that comes out of my pot, and then there seems more to go back in. It's like magic. I don't know how that happens. I'm just going to straighten this a little. So what I would do is then just attach the two together and pop that on my card base. And that's it. I'll show you the two. So a lovely, quick and easy design, but using those Brusho powders and our circle masks. So I'm hoping you have a go at this. As I say, just such a lovely, quick design. Just another play with the stamp. But it's so important we use our products. So if you've got your Brusho powders, please, for me, just get them out and have a play. Maybe do a bit of watercolour painting with them. So you take care. Thanks for popping in. It's always so lovely to spend time with you. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.